Lampard saying all the right things. He's got a big task on his hand, hasn't he?
He's got a tough job on his hand. I was trying to figure out what kind of team would he put out and who would play. And I was absolutely underwhelmed with what he had in front of him. But going forward, we're looking at like Giroud, Pedro, Barkley, Kovacic. I mean, Willian.
Yeah.
This is hardly mouth-watering stuff. And yet, he is going to be expected to keep them in the top four. That's going to be tough with the squad he has.
But rightly so. This is Chelsea Football Club, who were champions 2 years ago. You expect them to be there.
Yes, I mean, that's the expectation of Chelsea Football Club, given who they are, given how they've finished, and given the almost traditional expectation of them now. The trouble is, and Frank hit on it in one instance, talking about the transfer ban. The second, to Stevie's point, you look at this dressing room right now, and it does not scream that it's guaranteed to finish in the top four. It's going to take a lot of work for this team to finish there. You lose the likes of Eden Hazard. Hudson-Odoi comes down with an injury. He's the exciting talent. You're not quite sure when or how he's going to be when he does eventually return. There's just a lot of question marks for an inexperienced manager to try to answer.
They do, though, have, of course, Christian Pulisic coming in, but there is obvious concern about this transfer ban. The problem is, if I'm a Chelsea fan, Jules, is you're running out of time.
You're running out of time, and you're not even sure that once the CAS is looking at it and investigate it, that they would even freeze the ban, and that you will be able to recruit at least this summer. There's also a lot of chances that the ban will stay, and you won't be able to recruit either this summer or in January, and you will have to wait a whole year to recruit. Kovacic and Giroud were a bit different because one was just extending the year in option for Giroud, and Kovacic was already there on loan, so he was already registered, so they were allowed to buy him. But for the rest, he will have to do with what he has, and I agree with the boys, it's a hell of a task for him to go ahead in that job, and I think it shows why he took so long to accept the job and why there was so many discussions between him and Marina Granovskaya, who's running Chelsea Football Club, because even him, this is not the ideal context and option for him. I think he would have loved to go back to Chelsea in a very different context, yet he has agreed to join now, but he's by far ideal.
One of the biggest criticisms that Sarri faced during his tenure as Chelsea coach was playing N'Golo Kante out of position. Frank Lampard was asked where he would play the World Cup winner.
I'm not going to sit here and talk about how we're going to look next season, because we're starting pre-season tomorrow and the players are coming back. I think, and I've said it before out loud, that Kante is one of the greatest midfield players in the world. In the last few years, his performances are outstanding. One of the pleasures of me getting this job is that I'm able to work with players of that quality. And my job would be to find the best position to get the best out of him in the team.
We know his best position, Jules.
I think only Mauricio Sarri didn't know it or didn't want to know it. The thing with Kante, though, he didn't begrudge playing in another position last year. I think he learned a lot, and in a way, he enjoyed working with Sarri because Sarri made him a more complete midfielder, if you want. Okay, it was a bit frustrating at times because he got slaughtered by the English media, although it was not his fault. He was doing his best, trying his best in a new position, in a more of a box-to-box role, if you want. Sometimes even as an attacking midfielder. It was a bit weird, but he learned a lot. He became better technically with the ball, in his decision-making on the ball as well. So he won't look back at last season thinking like, oh, that was a hell of a nightmare, that was a bad season. Conte will look at it and say, do you know what, I played differently, I did some good things, some other things that were not that good, but he's hoping, obviously, now with a new manager, to go back to playing in the position that he knows best and where he is at his best, which is, as we know it, in a two, in front of that back four, where he's basically able to run everywhere.
And of course, we're expecting to see him play in that position once again, which then begs the question, what happens to Jorginho, Jules?
And do you know what? I think Jorginho can play in other systems than just the 4-3-3 that Sarri used when he was only that holding midfielder. I'm convinced that Jorginho can play in a holding role, but just in a two in midfield, in front of the back four, with Conte next to him. And I really believe that would actually make Jorginho a better player. And I think he would have more option on the ball in front of him. He would have Conte alongside him doing all the dirty work and all the running and all the, intercepting the ball and things like that. And I really believe that Jorginho and Conte in front of a back four would work very well for Lampard and Chelsea.
Jules, very optimistic, Stevie.
Yeah, I would absolutely play the two of them there as well.
It could work?
I think Frank will go with a 4-2-3-1. The problem that Frank's going to have is the three. Are the two wide guys in the three going to defend? Because if they're not going to defend, then they're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because Jorginho, yes, can play off a Kante in that defensive role, but he's not a real defender. They need to have two guys in that three that are willing to sit a little deeper and do some defending. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
And that's the thing. I'm not at all as convinced by Jorginho. Listen, Jorginho wants the ball to come through him, yet he does not have the passing range of a Xavi Alonso or Andrea Pirlo, so he can't sit that far off the midfield three or the front one or two, as it were, and create. I just don't see it, nor do I think he's that good defensively. He has to play a little bit higher up the park so he can find passing channels and he can pick a pass when the opportunity presents itself, because he's not going to be spraying balls 40 or 50 yards. At the same time, he doesn't have the pace or the guile to be running by players. So I find him thoroughly frustrating, I'll be honest.
Do you know, a lot of the talk's been how Frank's going to play. But there's one thing right now, he can't play 4-4-2. Because he doesn't have two forwards.
Right.
Yeah.
That know
Barely has one.
That know how to play in that sort of formation. So that means it's either going to be the 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. And Jorginho, in my opinion, can't do it in the Premier League in a 4-3-3. So Frank's got a big problem to solve.